Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. And today we are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question. And that is to really understand kind of what is the trickery in a relationship that when you're involved with someone who is malignant, narcissistic, or psychopathic. In other words, on a day-to-day basis, they engage in pathological lying. They just have a mask with which they move between any and all relationships. And the profound depth of the trickery that permeates really everything that they do, most particularly relationships with someone who they want something from. And what they want can be anything from just a status. In other words, if you are there to be like the shell of a relationship for them. In other words, these individuals are so profoundly disordered and dysfunctional that yes, they will marry for a shell relationship. It seems so preposterous or so inconceivable that anyone would do this, but this is indeed the case. And they are able to, do this and feel, even if they have children, and we had a viewer ask, do these people have pets? They do not connect to others, including animals, plants, the world in general, in the same emotionally relatable way. So that's why when you have brushed up against them, you've experienced time with these individuals, you feel distant or disjointed, disconnected from kind of that heart-centered in your life where you just feel like everything is okay, everything is normal, everything is going to be all right. There are no worries. You're in your heart center. You are living in your body. You are essentially what they call grounded. You're earth-based. You're grounded to physical reality. You know your appetite, your sleep, your needs, your desire to be with others. It's so important to be with others, and you have a true social need. There's been all sorts of studies that have shown that those who have close relationships live a longer life. It sets forth a positive neurochemistry when you're with other people. There's a feeling of bondingness. When you get together, it sends, the feel-good chemicals. You tend to be able to think better, two heads are better than one. You can have friends for all sorts of reasons. And, when you are with individuals like this who have such a deep pathological need to lie, and they do just as part of how they engage. So this is how they interact with everybody. So what they have done to you, they're unequivocally going to do to the next. And, you don't want to be that next victim. You don't want to be in, around these types of individuals. So that is the degree to which they will engage in all their relationships. And it's not a pretty thing. So, getting away from them, you can understand why then you have felt as disconnected that you do. You can understand why you feel that you're really sort of isolated, and there's a profound sense of self, distrust in self. And, you do need to get then into, the flip side to that is A, the acknowledgement, but to B, realize that you need to have some area of acceptance in your life. And so oftentimes it's really what we feel is profound rejection from this individual, even if this was like a family member or a fiance or a lover or a husband or a spouse or even, in the workplace. You want really, deep down, there is a profound need for acceptance. In other words, I am accepted by this circle or this inner circle or, this person. So especially if this individual you had felt, was going to be there for maybe the rest of your life or, an integral part of your life, that you have a vision, your prefrontal cortex has envisioned this, and then you have a deep need and desire to be accepted. So when you have encountered this pathological lying, you have a sense of being rejected. There is a lack of acceptance, and you have a need to have a belonging and what we call acceptance, which is a feeling of love, unconditional love, that softer side of life where someone, you can be yourself with someone, and it's not contingent and based on what you're wearing, your health, what you're doing for them. It's more of a very comfortable, broad-based relationship. And you do need to have this not only with yourself, a sort of self-acceptance, unconditional self-love, which you might hear a lot, but when you actually do it, it's really a profound experience. And that's when you get into, a softer side of yourself. You tend to ease up. The self-retaliation, the self-rebellion, the self-hurt, the self-beating up tends to, fade away. It becomes less. You become aware of it, and then you're able to get into that emotional refractory period where you're about to launch into that self-negation. You're able to say, stop, no. And then you engage in positive, orderly direction feeling. I'm commanding myself to feel unconditional love and unconditional radical self-acceptance now. And I'm loving all the banquet of life that life is bringing to my table, including this experience, which has really been a profound sense. It's deepening me as a person to come to the next level of learning in life. In other words, I'm able to protect myself even more. There's a part of you, like a knight in shining armor, that begins to stand up. It could have been in the crouching position, but now you're standing up and you're like, okay, I have really got you now. You're like one of those old knights that you've ever seen in the museums. If you look at, some of the wonderful museums, perhaps the art institutes in your area, where they have, the medieval knight in shining armor, where they have, their head is protected, their chest, they've got, the shackles, that protect them all the way down the shin bone and over their shoes, and they have their swords and spears. I mean, those guys are protected. They've got their armor on, and then they can do what they need to do in their battles. So you begin to have energetically a very similar self-protection. And, you know that you are grounded, and you have knowing in that self-protection. So you really do have to call forth that aspect of you. And a lot of people equate that to the higher energy, which is like the angelic realm, especially that of Archangel Michael. He is present in all sorts of different religious traditions, but we're talking about calling on an experience and merging your energy with this true self-protection. And I really highly recommend you study Archangel Michael, no matter what your religious background, but learn who he is. And I really also recommend Sunny Dawn Johnston. She is a wonderful provider of information on that topic, and she has some meditations that I think will be very wonderful for you to engage in if you're interested. But I would highly recommend this as a crucial tool for you to get a groundedness and a protectedness, and really, energetically, when you've encountered these people. Because when you're up against this sort of off-kilter pathological mask, you really realize that you want to be authentic and you want the real thing in life, which these people, they cannot offer. They cannot give what they do not have. So you must realize that that is the awareness. So it kind of takes you out of the feeling of dejection when you realize, this person is not, marriage material, love material, friend material. I mean, at certain levels. Bear with me 1 minute.